Coming to you from across the multiverse, this is the Marvel Infinity Rewatch Podcast. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Marvel Rewatch Podcast, where we are rewatching the most successful movie franchise in history from the very beginning. This week, we're building a robotic suit in a cave with a box of scraps in Iron Man. Joining me to discuss this is my friend and co-host of the Supercast, Ladi from the YouTube channel Anu Kinihum. So, Ladi, my friend, thanks for joining me. And you ready to talk about this Iron Man stuff, the Kickstarter of the MCU?
Well, technically, yes, yes, the Kickstarter.
It is, yeah, it is. This is what blew the door open for Marvel Studios. So, Uh, but before we get into this first episode of the Marvel Rewatch podcast and start talking about this movie, do us a favor, get down there, hit like on this video. And if you're listening to us on a podcasting platform, you know what to do. Leave us a review. 5 stars will be best, but whatever you think, we deserve. So, Lottie, as always, I like to, I got a kind of format for this. We're going to talk about, what this movie's about, what's good, bad about it, what's weird about it. How does this fit into the MCU? And what was it like when we first watched it? And we're gonna, go over, the credit scenes and all that other stuff, all that good stuff, to remind people about this. To me, like one of the all-time great comic book movies, but definitely, the Kickstarter and the shot in the arm that Marvel needed in the late, like 2008. So that said, this movie, Iron Man, it came out in 2008, written and directed by Jon Favreau, from a screenplay by the writing teams of Mark Ferguson, Hawk Otsby, and Art Markham and Matt Holloway. There's a lot of fingers in this pie, if you will. Stars Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, and also Terrence Howard, Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow, Leslie Bibb, and Sean Tobe. And it's the first film in the MCU and was designed to kick off the cinematic universe. Lottie, I mean, I don't know if you remember the kind of the hype and talk around it, but there was a lot of like big talk about, no, we're not just doing one movie, we're gonna do a bunch of movies, and this is just like the entry point. Do you remember that?
Oh, no, yeah, I remember. It may not seem it, but I was 15 at the time, so I remember them talking about it. I remember seeing the rumors of like the Thor, Captain America. There was all different types of movies they were talking about during that time that were being made, and I remember when Iron Man, I was just like, Iron Man? They're making a Iron Man movie? I was you gotta think. You gotta think. I would. There were like that was sort of the era. Besides, Transformers, a lot of movies with robots at the time crashed and burned very badly. Like it was like when I heard it, I was just like, "This is what they're going to do." Because I was like, "They're going to make an Iron Man movie before we make a Spider-Man 4." This is before I learned, I knew about Sony
Right.
was the one owning it, not Marvel. So I was like, "We're getting this before Spider-Man 4." So I was extremely skeptical of the movie before it came out. So
Yeah, and I was the opposite. I was super excited because I'd been reading the comics at the time, and Iron Man was a very prominent figure. Their Civil War had gone on and all this other stuff. So and they had redesigned them. They'd done the Extremis. So I was actually really excited for this, and I wanted because I saw the design of the armor before the movie came out, and I was like, this is just like in the comics that I'm reading right now. So I was actually very very excited for it. So, Lottie, what was this movie about, man? What was the plot of this movie? What were they getting at?
the plot of the movie is pretty much a rich billionaire asshole that was making weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, yeah. At the time, because it's very funny. If you're not a millennial or Gen X, you won't get the joke. Everyone's looking for the weapons of mass destruction. Tony Stark's fucking making it. That's what they were, and he was demonstrating them off like a asshole going like, "Yeah, I can destroy mountains, guys." Then, pretty much he gets captured and uh pretty much enslaved to make more weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, George Bush, they were making the weapons of mass destruction because ironically this movie came out the first year George actually no George Bush was still in office. That was the year when Obama was running. So ironically George Bush was still in office. Yeah, that's where the weapons of mass destruction are. And then Iron Man's like, he actually gets hit by one of his rockets, his shrapnel gets hit into his heart. So pretty much he is enslaved along with a another doctor, another scientist about pretty much making another weapon of mass destruction. And to keep him alive, they strapped a battery with a magnet to keep the shrapnel from going into his heart. Which, I mean, then it sounded real nice, but the more and more as I get older, I'm like, how the fuck does that work? Wouldn't you die of internal bleeding by now? But whatever. So, whatever. It's comic book movies. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna make your weapons. But instead of making the weapon, he makes this Iron Man suit, literally Iron Man suit, and then goes and destroys his weapons, able to escape, comes back and makes a perfect version of his suit and becomes a superhero.
Yeah, and then fun ensues.
Yes.
So, I like to talk about, let's say, the good, the bad, and the weird things about this movie. So, uh, Lottie, what did you think was good about this movie?
This movie was unfortunately and ironically the best Iron Man movie that came out and encapsulated what Iron Man meant. Like they first of all, the CGI in this movie, along with the practical effects of this movie, 16 years old, still looks fucking phenomenal too. Like in my opinion, this is probably maybe the second or third best Iron Man's ever looked in the MCU. I think the best he's ever looked was Avengers, the original Avengers. But this was like maybe the second or third best he's ever looked in the entire MCU. And I absolutely loved. They got it so like the look of the suit was so good that I am a huge fan of Metroid Prime. I was like, oh, they can make a Metroid Prime movie. That's the first, literally, when I first saw the suit, I said, oh, they can make a Metroid Prime movie. That's the first thing I thought. Absolutely love how they got the suit completely right. The action in the movie was, but this was very early MCU. It's just they were able to pull it off, an Iron Man movie where he looked like Iron Man. They got the actor right. They got the comedy right. It still has one of the favorite, one of the most quotable lines. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Still to this day, one of the greatest lines in nerd culture. It's a meme that's still used to this day, to this freaking day. And yeah, man, the movie was awesome. Uh, I also got to give one more little quick thing. Uh, Terrence Howard, one time, only time in the MCU with his next time baby. Unfortunately, wasn't next time baby.
Yeah, for me, I like to say this is damn near everything is right about this movie. You said it all. Performances, RDJ's is Tony Stark. It was ridiculously great casting. It's the concept, the storyline was great. There's a lot of heart and everything in it. The relationships, the on-screen chemistry, they got the look right, they got the action right. It's just not too much, not too little. The bad guys were good. I mean, it did everything it was supposed to do, and it made you excited for more MCU. Right? The idea of a shared universe would have died if this movie didn't do everything it was supposed to do, and it did it in spades. It was just great. Um, So now that I wasn't very specific, but there's a lot of stuff there. The bad
Mhm.
though, what did you think was bad about this movie?
There was really almost no action. Like there was the best part of the movie was the middle when he first actually puts on the perfected suit. Then after that, that's literally the highlight of the action of the movie. Um, I mean, it was the beginning of the massive CGI. If CGI, it was literally the start of the MCU pew pew CGI fight towards the end. It was the original starter. So it's not that big of a knock compared to other movies because it's the first one and it wasn't that over the top. Um, Terrence Howard saying next time, baby, you could have removed that part from the movie instead of cock teasing us that we'll never see him as they could have removed that part from the damn movie.
No, well, they didn't know.
Um,
They didn't know at the time.
yeah, that is true.
They didn't know. So that was yeah. For me,
Uh,
yeah, I was gonna say for me, the bad was well, it was endemic of the time, but the generic brown terrorists. I mean, really, like it was really just that
yeah,
because it was the time. You know, we were still deep in Iraq and Afghanistan, so of course, generic brown terrorists. And they had the nerve to call themselves the Ten Rigs, and I was like, I don't remember the Mandarin having nothing to do with Afghanistan. What the hell this got to do with anything? It was really weird. Like it was weird in a way that looking back at old 1980s action movies make you be like, ugh, you know, whoa, boy, we were real. It was kind of a little racist. It's a little racist. I'm just saying. Also, I did not like how it kind of there's a lot of Tony Stark aggrandizement. In other words, kind of excuse he's kind of a dick. He's pretty toxic in some ways, and they really kind of make it like, oh, it's fine because he's funny and he's attractive and he's charming. I'm like, but he's kind of a dick though, for real. And y'all just like make it all good. I mean, he does some real, chest beating alpha male shit, but because he's sort of charming and good looking and rich, he gets to get away with it. It's really
seeing Jeff Bridges bald. That ball cap was on tight, man. Tight. Uh, um,
straight cue ball.
yeah, like I mean, there wasn't really much like parts of the movie that I'll go like, it felt like it just felt like like there's lately there's been some MCU moments throughout like movies where we're just like, why is that in the movie? I felt like this is back when everything was really tight, so I didn't really see much like parts where I'd be like, that was kind of weird, or it just felt out of place. The only thing that I would say was like was that Terrence Howard not being them recasting Terrence Howard. So
hmm
that's really it. That's
Yeah.
really it.
I mine is it's very minor, but I was like I felt like Tony was kicking a puppy whenever he was being mean to his little helper bot. I was like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that? Like and I know we're anthropomorphizing things, but I'm like, why would you keep calling him dummy and everything? You're just being mean to this, and you built him. Like, why are you doing this? But of course, it pays off later when it pays back later when he actually helps him with his whole when his the what is it the power unit gets stolen. So I just thought that I was like, that's strange because I'm supposed to like this guy. Why are you having him kick a puppy? Uh, Uh, so Lottie, how does this fit into the MCU in your eyes? How do you see its place in the MCU?
Well, it is technically at a first movie, so it's like the jump off. Like it's the movie that made everyone realize this is possible. That they can actually make a cinematic universe where it's not just a sequel. It's not just it's a sequel or a quadruple or whatever. They can actually make other movies connecting to this because at the end we saw Mr. We saw hints of what's it called, Mr. Sam,
Yeah,
which led
wait,
on to
yeah, and we will get to that. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Um, to me, absolutely. This is it's the reason for the MCU to even exist. Like I said, if this doesn't work, MCU doesn't exist, right? It gave you
yeah,
it gave you the the basis for why you should be excited for more things, and it also it hinted at a bigger universe than what was already just on the screen there. And so obviously it is hugely important. It is the most important. In fact, no, I'll say it's the most important only in the fact that it got everything rolling. But it's second most important to the Avengers, I think. Only in the
yeah.
only it started everything, but the Avengers I think is the most important, but still hugely important to the MCU. Do you remember the first time you watched this?
Yeah, I actually watched this. I actually watched this movie twice within like I think 2 days. The first time I watched it I watched it with my brother. Me and him went and we went to go watch it. As you know, I used to live literally like within walking distance of AMC, so we just went and watched it. At the time, like I said, I was 15, my brother was 19, so we went and watched it. Then absolutely had a blast watching it, you know. Then later on, one of my friends, he was like, "Hey, I got 2 extra tickets for Iron Man. You want to watch it?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to watch it again." Went and watch it again. So yeah, like I said, I was 15 at the time, so it was one of those moments of just like you just want to just get out the house and go out and do something as a kid. So it definitely holds a fond place in my memory.
Yeah, I definitely went and I went with my ex-wife and went and saw this. And she was pregnant with my daughter at the time. So so technically I went with my daughter too. But yeah, we were both hyped for this. I was more hyped than her just because I knew the comics and everything, and I was just really wanted to see what they were going to do. I think the trailers really got us kind of hyped up for it. And I don't know if you remember, but I remember the crowd seeing it were so into it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
it really got everyone kind of, it caught you early on and kept a hold of you. And this wasn't just like, look, I'm a comics nerd, have been. And I know you know video games, but you know these things, you know the comics, you watch the cartoons and all that. We're steeped in this. This got the normies to go see this and be like, "Oh shit, this is something," right? And like, do you remember? Like, I remember walking out telling people like, "Oh, no, there's more to this. There's more to come. Like, y'all got to see. Like, trust me, it's gonna be more. You're gonna want to watch the next Marvel thing." There people were who were just non-comics people were sitting turning around and asking us about what's going on. Like, what is, there's more
Oh
to this.
yeah, I remember that era. I'm kind of missed that era of Marvel movies where people used to just, you'll have that one person who was like a regular fan who sat next to you and they were just asking you questions. There's that like that was peak MCU. That was peak MCU. I don't think we will probably really ever get back to that. But like at one point, like you said, at one point, everyone was just asking you, like, "Oh, what is that reference? What does that mean? What is that? What is that? What is that? Who is that?"
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Let's talk about performances. To you? What was your standout performance in this movie? Like, I mean, this feels like an unfair question for Iron Man, but what do you think was the standout performance?
I mean, we gotta talk about the GOAT, Robert Downey Jr., the the man who resurrected his career, a man who resurrected a freaking cinematic universe, a man that's resurrected Marvel Comics. The like, what, like come on, there's other people like with Gwyneth Paltrow. The world was introduced to Gwyneth Paltrow in that movie.
Well, I don't know.
Like I
I
said,
don't want to say that you were introduced to her, but I mean, she was a name,
she
but
took
like,
her she took her she took her major step out. Then we had Bridges, and of course we had the guy who played Happy. We had performances, but there's only one performance that's mentioning the man who literally changed comic book cinematic movies forever. The GOAT, Robert Downey Jr. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone said anybody else, I'd be like, Get out of here. You are y'all. You now you just being contrary just to be contrary. Obviously, this is Robert Downey Jr. acting his ass off. And even like, yeah, shades of himself and everything and all that other stuff, but a good script that is elevated. And mind you, the script wasn't locked when they wrote. There was a lot of ad libbing and stuff like this. A lot of this is Robert Downey Jr. in this role, which is amazing because everyone loves Tony Stark. Like, and they love him because of Robert Downey Jr. It is, by far, and mind you, Jeff Bridges is a great actor. Gwyneth Paltrow, great actor, right? Terrence Howard, he's good. All these people, okay, but he just, he is the center of everything, and like literally any scene he's in, he's the center of it, right? Any conversation, he's the center of it, and that is Tony Stark to the world. I love him in this. We got to take a break out of talking about the movie because we got to do the Stan Lee watch because Stan Lee he shows up in all of the Marvel things. So where do we see him in this? I don't know how you felt about it, Lottie. I loved Stan Lee's appearance in this as fake Hugh Hefner with the whole, he had the robe on and
What's
everything.
up,
Like
Hugh? What's up, Hugh?
he had the yeah. I loved it. He just turned. He didn't even say anything. Just kind of turned around. Love seeing Stan in that.
Oh man, you're making me remember the Stan Lee cameos. They were freaking just outrageously good.
He's such a good sport about it. Just you knew when he showed up. You're like, yeah, this is a real Marvel thing. So I also wanted to talk about the standout scene. So to you, what was the scene? These any if all the scenes, if you're gonna tell somebody about it, what is the standout scene in this movie to you?
Oh, we all know what the scene was. When the man put on the suit for the first time and landed inside of that village to save those people from this terrorist, bruh. Then he's just went, pew, pew, pew. Oh man, listen. Still, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it again. That scene just blew my absolute mind. And then the of that, it was a whole minute scene, but the actual scene that stole the entire show was when all of those terrorists, they had the villagers of the children and the older women had guns up to their head, and Tony put down his arms. But then all of a sudden you were like, what? Wait, why is he targeting? Then the then the little rockets came out of his shoulders. Pop! I was like, oh man. Then he pulled the guy from behind the wall and said, he's all yours. Mm, mm.
That's right, the American invader doing good. Yeah, to me, there's so many great scenes in this one, so I'm gonna cheat a
Oh
little
yeah, of
bit.
course, I also have to mention this one. The scene, that iconic scene that PC builders use when him hammering the damn mask.
I will say this movie is really good for montages. Like it's got some really great montages. Like they knew what they were on about because they wanted you to kind of understand, the evolution of the suit, but also the evolution of Tony as a hero. So I did like that a lot. For me, there's just a bunch. I love there's the probably to me the scene that sets the tone for Tony's hero journey is he gets an Uncle Ben moment. Like, and I didn't realize it until rewatching. I was like, oh, this is his Uncle Ben
Yep.
moment when
Yeah.
Jensen dies and says, "Don't waste your life." And I was like, wow, that's an Uncle Ben moment. Like, how have I've seen this movie many times over the years. And I just really kind of clicked with me. So good. Um, yeah,
Epic
obviously, yeah.
foreshadowing.
The escape from the cave is beautiful. There's a part where Pepper is running away from Obadiah when he's in the Ironmonger suit, and I didn't realize it until I watched it again. I was like, oh shit, that's the predecessor to Black Widow running from Hulk. You know, where she's running away from it. I was like, that's the same kind of scene. It's really like it's weird to see that now, but it's true. Um, there's just so much. Even the final fight. There's just so many great scenes. It's hard to pick one in particular, but if I have to pick one, I really think the Uncle Ben moment is because that tells you everything you need to know about Tony Stark and his journey forward to be a better man. Love it. Lottie, what about that ending though? Was it a Marvel ending? Do you feel like it was a Marvel ending?
Like you mean the final fight?
Well, okay. What I mean, I'll try to explain it to people. Like, what do you mean Marvel ending? Now, like it depends. It has become a bit of a pejorative because of the pew pew. Because now we've seen it happen a lot. Like it's pew pew, a lot of CG, a lot of that, all that other stuff. But I just kind of look at it as they built up to it. Now there's a big fight between the bad guy and the good guy, and whether or not they execute it well in a way that makes sense and you can see and understand what's happening. But do you feel like in your mind is this a Marvel ending?
I mean, it was it by definition, I guess so, but in actual reality, no, it wasn't because, like you said, it was one of those things that was hyped up. It was hyped up. It wasn't just random that this guy got this massive robotic suit at the end, and Tony wasn't really doing laser beams all over the place because he was out of energy. And then on top of that, too, he had help to defeat him. It wasn't like big, massive CGI blast and just came down to the wire type thing. It was just more of like Tony was running out of power and he needed help to defeat the final villain from Peppers to basically blow up the arc reactor, the main arc reactor on what's his name on I can't
It
even
was the
remember.
Ironmonger suit, but yeah,
Ironmonger suit, yeah.
yeah, yeah. To me, I'm going to say it's it's not a Marvel ending the way we have come to think of them, but it is a Phase One Marvel ending, and by that I mean in Phase One because there was a lot of introductory, movies like we're seeing that. So what ended up happening is there's a lot of individual, like one person fighting another person at the end of the day, like in Hulk or Captain America, it's one person, one on one, right? So it wasn't it wasn't a Marvel ending in that sense, in the sense that a lot of pew pew, a lot of people, a lot of bodies flying around. No, this was a one on one thing, but it was also that thing where we see the hero fighting his essentially his mirror image, right? Which wasn't necessarily bad because it is about a clash of ideas and morality and whatever. Very good, a very good ending in my opinion. We still have one last thing we need to cover. You mentioned it earlier, and it is that credit scene. Like, and mind you, for this one, this is the most important credit scene in the MCU. To me, it's the most important.
Hmm.
Now you may not agree with me. The reason why I say it is there are better credit scenes, mind you. There are much better ones, right? That got more pop. But this is the one because this is the one that said, "Oh, there's more stuff coming down the line, and I, Nick Fury, am going to be the one that lets you know we gonna get the Avengers. We got the Avengers initiative." Lottie, come on, that scene, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember first seeing Samuel motherfucking Jackson. It's my beer. That's as a so it was one of those things. It was one of those like you said, we were like, "Oh shit, they for real about this. They for real." And he becomes a more and more prominent member of the movies as he's more and more as he goes on. And it was just yeah, it's what started everything. Because actually I'll say this. It's the thing that started end credits. It made people go like, "Hey man, sit your ass down. It's gotta wait till the credits are over."
Yeah.
Like that's when it all started. I remember when I went to the movies with I can't remember which movie it was, but I went with it was me, my brother, and one of my friends, and my friend got up and he was like, "Why y'all still sitting?" End credit scene, bro.
And now we always sit for it. But that, I mean, absolutely an incredible scene. Like in an incredible credit scene that again, hella important to the MCU. So, with all that said, we've covered a lot of ground here, right? So now we got to rate this thing, and as always, for this podcast, we're going to rate it out of Infinity Stones at one through six. So, Lottie, in your mind, is Thanos still looking for the first stone, or is he ready to snap all of half of the life in the universe out of existence? What do you think?
I'm giving this a solid 4.8 stones out of 10. There was a little bit shaving off of a little bit shaving off the top of the soul stone. You know, when he took it out of the visions, I mean, not the soul stone, the mind stone. When he took it out of visions 10, the little bit of it stayed inside of the vision. It was a little bit shaving off. Like he just took it a little bit off the top. You know? I say 4.8 because that is an 8. That is an 8 out of 10. And I'm not I'm rating the movie exactly how I felt when I first watched it. I'm not rating the movie based off of nostalgia or importance. I'm basing it because this is what did you say? It's a rewatch. And
Hmm.
I'm basing it off of my 15-year-old mind and compared it to the movies that were out at the time. Compared to now, Iron Man's better than a lot of movies out right now. But at the time, it was a solid 8 out of 10, which is not bad. It's a good movie. It's a good jump off to the MCU. But like I said, I'm comparing it to like I said, my 15-year-old mind, plus the movies that came out after that movie that were just, in my opinion, better movies. Iron Man is still a great movie, and unfortunately, the best one in its trilogy. But yeah.
Well, to me, this is definitely a situation where he's, this is definitely a 5 out of 6 for me. So Thanos is not quite, he's not quite ready to snap everybody out of existence, but he's damn close. He only really needs to reach out and grab that crap out of Vision. And this look, and 5 out of 6 is awesome. Like it is just below to me, you know, the best of the best. And considering it was the first movie in the MCU, that's saying something. This movie is
Mhm.
still better. Iron Man's still better than an awful lot of the MCU. Like it really, really
Yes.
is.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Even with the with some weirdly aged stuff, even with the CG is not necessarily the same. There's so many more things that were going for later movies, but as the starting point, a banger, absolutely the best way to start the MCU. Absolutely, I'm a huge fan of. I'm going to be watching this forever. With all that being said, what did you guys think about this? What do you think about the movie? What do you think about our conversation? Agree with us, disagree with us, just have something to say. You know what to do. Get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow at gmail.com, blurred underscore force one on Instagram and threads, super underscore not underscore funny show on TikTok. And if you are listening to this on a podcasting platform, do us a favor. You go ahead and give us a review. Hopefully, it's 5 stars, but whatever you think we deserve. And of course, I couldn't do this by myself. I need my good friend Ladi to help me out with his reminiscing and of this great movie. So, Lottie, can you let them know where they can reach you when you're not on the Supercast?
Oh yeah, you can always find me on my YouTube and Instagram, which are both conveniently named Anukinihun. It is Anukinihun, ANUKINIHUN. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN.
Yeah, you guys go ahead and show Lottie some love, and continue to show the Supercast, the Blurred Force One, all that stuff love, and let us know how you're feeling about the rewatch. We really appreciate you coming and checking out the first episode of the Marvel Infinity Rewatch podcast. So until next time, I have been Mo, your comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Lottie. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.